The world is playing in our face yet again. In America,
The Supreme Court decision to severely limit the Voting Rights Act
was overturned. If you're international, there's a potential plague on the cusp. And dolphin kamikazes are preparing for war as we speak. Your anxiety is at the highest state of existence it's ever known. And I'm having panic attacks of seismic proportions. Panic attacks I haven't experienced since the bi-panic of 2017.
What did he say?
But through the fight or flight instinct happening and rewiring our brains one monstrosity at a time, here are 3 things your anxiety isn't telling you. Welcome to Daydreams, a comedic breakdown of living in modern society. One thing your anxiety doesn't want you to know is that it's second guessing itself as well. Your anxiety really would not like to be called on, whether it's because of mental disorder or panic-induced thoughts. Your anxiety would rather live in the base of your brain, only ever to be used in dire situations, fights for your survival, escaping the killer.
I've been aware of the killer since birth.
Or mullets, or sugar babies. Your anxiety doesn't know that it's not in a dire situation. And it hates that it was inherited through genetics or born from trauma, or your accidental exposure to Impreg Omegaverse 300 pages. Because now your anxiety is splitting your gene caps, spiking your cortisol, and raising your blood pressure, all to outrun this non-existent threat of murderers and alpha wolves in heat. Fears and maybe arousal created your anxiety. But what your anxiety really doesn't want you to know is that it's an abusive ex. What your anxiety would unironically say is that it hurts me more than it hurts you. It honestly thinks it's doing you service, much like I am, in the fight and combat against mental illness. And by bringing joy and laughter, so like this video so someone else can experience joy and laughter. Another thing your anxiety doesn't want you to know, your brain is trying to save the day, but actually making it worse. Your little amygdala and whatever other chemicals in charge of your fight or flight response have no clue they're destroying the fun reality you've made for yourself. They're simply acting on what they know to be true, via evolution. A dog's gotta hunt, and your amygdala's gotta fight or flight, I guess. The picture of everything being okay is being ruined. For every news cycle and media outlet you open, things are on fire, and you don't want that reminder. How dare your anxiety come into play right now? Your anxiety doesn't want to be there, but it can't help but sense a dumpster fire, and it refuses to go out in one. So it stays and grows and craves to be dealt with, whether it's through prescription cocktails, meditation, or taking action in some small way of community. Drop a comment about ways you tackle your anxiety, and we can all use the pointers right now. Your anxiety doesn't want to potentially battle fascism and outrun bureaucracy. It wants to fantasize about the Omegaverse. So, give you and your anxiety some grace. But then, your anxiety doesn't tell you you're the first in a generation to experience your amygdala firing at the highest capacitor. Epigenetics explains how we respond to certain scenarios, and as Gen Z is the most anxious generation in history, our DNA is working overtime to keep us alive through the terrors. Trying to survive from the metaphorical bear or wild beast out to kill us. Whether it's bad versions in government that exist in the United States or the price of gas. Your anxiety is encoding and imbuing the will to survive, but it is unaware of how it's also just killing the vibe and making it harder to lock in. Because every day we are reminded, much like our anxiety, it can get worse. Your anxiety doesn't know that it's a trailblazer, a trendsetter. The first of a generation to soar so high that it elevates your heart rate to new unknowns and making everything worse in the process. Once again, call your doctor, get on meds, do your meditations, make art, get some fresh air, and take part in community of any kind. Because in reality, the world is having a big reconstruction moment right now, and so many of us do not know how the hat's gonna drop or how the toy's gonna cost, or I don't know. It's a scary time. It's a very scary time. A very anxious time for all of us. And remaining sane and focused and involved in the life around you feels a bit like an impossible task. As I personally bounce back from a horrible week of panic attacks that have had me stuck in my room and have left irreparable damage on my psyche, I have to remember that my anxiety is a defense mechanism. And that it's not happening at random. It's happening because we live in one of the most ridiculous timelines known to man. First of a generation, one would say. I have to take grace in the fact that I feel something during these times instead of pretending like everything's okay. And because of that, my anxiety reminds me... Ha! Zinger! I had to find some closing joke. And remember, if you ever feel like this timeline is too much, you can always subscribe and escape the Matrix.